Usually when young people write stories, the thing that's missing, believe it or not, is the story. So today we're going to look at plot. Pay attention. The story is only as good as its conflict. And the conflict is basically a problem or a challenge that enters the protagonist's life. It has to be clear as day. This is a problem that the audience will be at the edge of their seat. The readers want to know how this protagonist is going to solve this problem. And that gives you, the writer, the chance to build tension, suspense. And the tools that the writer has to build tension is dramatic irony and subtext. And that's what I want to see during the rising action of your story. So I want to see an inciting incident which introduces the conflict very early in your story, but I have to love your character to care what happens to them during this conflict. Okay? And it all leads up to the climax where then the tension is resolved. And the reader breathes a sigh of relief. I'm glad that's all over with. And like if you've chosen an epic background, like an intergalactic space battle, that's too big of a story for 1,000 words. But it can be the backdrop of your story. And then you can write a scene within that bigger movie and make that your short story. Good writing is rewriting. You're never done. You think you're done because you want to rush out of the room and go do something else, but your writing is never done. Even some authors will rewrite their books 10 years later. They say, you know what, I'm 10 years older now, I have a more perspective, I want to revamp that chapter, I want to add this, I want to omit that, and they will just release a new version of their book. We wear two hats as a writer. One of them is our creative writing hat, where some of us are really good at creating from scratch. We have a very strong imagination. But people like me are good at editing. So we're good at taking something that's there and making it better. But the truth is, we all can do both. And so it's time to put your creator writer hat on, and then it's time to put your editing hat on. And when you do that, here's what you got to do. The first time you edit, it's for spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Because if you let the teacher see some spelling issues or grammar issues or you didn't capitalize or dot your I or whatever it is, that's a rookie mistake. That's putting a question mark in your teacher's head that's unnecessary. And any person who respects themselves as a writer and is trying to be a better writer is not going to have spelling, grammar, and punctuation problems. So get it straight. And by that I include also annotations and citations and tabbing your dialogue and using quotation marks properly, dialogue tags. The second round of editing is for paraphrasing awkward sentences. And you all know, because you've been in my class long enough, when we go over your work, I'm always finding awkward sounding sentences. And I ask you, does this sound right to you? And you always say, no. Well, guess what? Trust your ear. Your ear knows. So when you find those sentences, highlight them, and then do the paraphrasing activity. And we've done it ad nauseum. You know how to do paraphrasing. So restate what you want to say beautifully. And then the third round of editing has to do with insights. So as you're doing the first two rounds of editing, it might occur to you that, hey, this would be a good place for an insight. To go a little bit further down the avenue of thought and give the reader something refreshing, a genuine, original thought. And so you take your highlight and you put a little insert symbol there and say, later on I'm going to come back and insert an insight there. So find 3 or 4 spots in your writing where you can insert an insight, and then just sit there like we did at the beginning of this workshop and come up with an insight. Remember, ask those questions and wander down those avenues of thought until this idea occurs to you that's just so original and refreshing, and insert. And then next is check for unity. And this is where your transitions come in. So Rosie, the first thing that one of the things that Gabriel noticed is use different sentence starters. So that's where transitions can be very, very helpful. It helps us start sentences and connect sentences, and you have to do one round of editing that just unifies everything. Make sure there's nothing extra or superfluous, and trim the fat and leave the beautiful lean meat.